Now, given that the reshoots for With Love Meghan Season 2 are still underway, as I like to call it, With Love Meghan Season 1 Part 2, because let's be very real, that's all what it really is, because they shot all the episodes at once, back to back, and they decided to call it Season 2 just to make it sound like that the show was picked up or renewed, to make it sound more successful than it really was. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new, and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. Now, as we discussed this many different ways, we know that ever since she dropped that viral video on Instagram, that infamous pregnancy video that a lot of people were just repulsed by, a lot of people pointed this out, that it was very cringeworthy, and how Meghan Markle is actually dealing with the consequences of leaving that video up on Instagram, regardless of multiple studios like Paramount and even Netflix for demanding her to take it down or else, and she refused to do so. It's ultimately why she lost that contract deal with Paramount, and why she's on bad terms right now with Netflix. So one thing about Meghan Markle right now is that she is losing tons and tons of fans. She is bleeding supporters, and this is exactly why she's getting very bitter. She's getting very much, more vocal than usual against the general public, and most recently, she had to share her emotional response when it came to supporters of her own actually deciding to abandon ship, to actually leave the Meghan Markle train and moving on to somebody else. So let's focus on all of this. Now, what's interesting about Meghan Markle is that she always likes to spin stories around, right? She always likes to actually, make it seem like she's all innocent, or that she's, someone that is very authentic or real, when in reality, we all know that she's very fake, phony, and inauthentic. However, with Meghan Markle dealing with the fallout related to her viral pregnancy video on Instagram, which also led to many of her own fans leaving not just her, but also how they decided to boycott her own series on Netflix. Recently, Meghan Markle got very emotional when addressing the viral video, leading to her own supporters walking away from her brand and her overall as a person on television. Markle delivered the following. Well, let me just say this, we live in a very superficial society where people will ghost you at the flip of a dime because you do one simple thing to express yourself, even ones that you once trusted that would be with you to the end. And to see a level of my support not showing the support that they once did, it really was disheartening. And this connects to the point that I made earlier, is that we live in a very unfair and unbalanced world right now, especially in 2025, and most certainly if you are in show business or in this industry, where you are judged by every little thing that you do. I mean, looking back at what I created 4 years ago, I saw nothing wrong with it all. I was proud, and I am proud of it, and if people have an issue with that, especially those that once supported me, then that's their problem. Look, I'm a grown woman, I'm a big girl, and I know how to handle myself as a powerful woman, but to see people that once trusted you to leave just like that, it makes you wonder to yourself, who is real and who isn't? I think it comes to a point where you have to just focus on yourself and not just the noise. Supporters don't leave you just like that. If they do, I think it's safe to say that they were just posers, putting up this false image that they are ride or die fans of yours, and I like to focus on fans that will be with me to the end, fans that will be with me no matter what, and you are going to see other sides of the real Meghan Markle in Season 2, and what we are about to drop this fall. Now guys, let me just say one thing about that. Now, before I move on, Meghan Markle, what she's basically putting out there is that she wants people to actually stay with her, no matter how many times that she lies to the public, no matter how many times that she plagiarizes or copies other people, copies other people's work out there, such as what she did with Pamela Anderson, Gordon Ramsay, and among others like Rachel Ray for With Love Meghan Season 2. We know the whole drama that actually happened with Season 2, and we've talked about it several times. But look, we know that Meghan Markle, what she's really translating here is that she really wants people to stay by her side, no matter what, even if she's doing things like what we just pointed out a couple of seconds ago. And I think that just goes to show you how narcissistic Meghan Markle really is. And look, nobody likes a narcissist, right? The fact that she's also referring to herself in the third person again is also another major red flag. And it's something that Netflix should be worried about, and that they should have been worried about months and months ago when they handed her that $100 million contract deal. Now, this is where it gets more interesting and worse at that. So she goes on to continue. It's something I think will be a very important step in my career. You look at all these actresses and the hardships that they have to embrace. Well, this is part of that. When you lose people that you once believed would be with you to the end of the line, it breaks you. And it makes you question yourself, am I a bad person? But I had to reassure myself, no, I am not. I am all about expressing myself, and if people don't like the way that I handle that, then so be it. People need to really gain a sense of humor, I think, in this society. Everyone, I feel, just takes everything way too seriously. I am as authentic as can be, and I can't stress this enough, but I ask everyone to realize that I am the real me. Nothing about me is put on or staged, and I think come this fall, people will be convinced that I am a very real person, with the people and for women especially. I realize the internet is forever, but my stance on that is, if people walk away over something so innocent, then you don't need those that actually are in your lives like that anyway. That's my one piece of life advice to all. So again, I mean, she's obviously referring to the viral video when she actually said the internet is forever and how she realizes that. But ultimately what she's putting out there right now is that she is really just going off against her fans, right? If you decide that you have a mind of your own, then you're not a fan. You're a poser, right? You're not a supporter, you're a poser. And we've heard people say things like this before. I pointed this out. Pedro Pascal likes to say the word poser. Leslie Headland, the director of the Acolyte Star Wars series, called the fans that walked away from Star Wars as posers. Seems like a lot of people like to parrot each other these days in 2025, saying, the same buzzwords left and right, and here you have Meghan Markle using that yet again. Now look, we know that With Love Meghan Season 2, it's going to be a bigger ratings disaster than Season 1, aka Part 1, for multiple reasons out there. They're going to be focusing on the importance of DEI, there's going to be a lot of messaging in this new season, quote unquote, and it's also going to have a lot of life advice and other lessons in the actual episodes, and I think it's going to turn off a lot of people. It's going to turn off a lot of families that decide to so happen to tune into the show, and it's really going to create a bad image for Netflix. And you know what? Greg Peters, Ted Sarandos, they know it, we know it especially, and they know the fact that we know. And that's scaring them. That's putting them in a very delicate position right now. And I think at the same exact time, that's why Ted Sarandos, as I pointed out earlier a couple of hours ago, is beginning to show cracks. He's beginning to actually show that he's beginning to actually hold some level of regret for even letting Meghan Markle into the picture over at Netflix, right? But again, we know that the board of directors, they're still trying to make a deal, they're trying to work things out. Overall, I would like to hear what everyone has to say about all this below in the comments. Anything ranging from the whole Meghan Markle situation where she's now losing fans and how she's beginning to cope with the fact about that, and how it's not looking good for herself at all over at Netflix, and everything else in between. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.